Well, good evening, class. Today is June 29th. That's the Friday before the weekend. And then Monday, of course, we have exam number 1. Just to remind you, you'll have from 8 a.m. on Monday until Tuesday at 11:59 to complete the exam. I'm going to change the way I'm going to do it. It's still going to be 50 questions, 40 multiple choice, 10 true, false. I thought I was going to do it as a quiz so it would automatically grade it, but I think the benefits of that and not having to grade it would actually be more, is less than just hand grading it and giving you the exam. So it'll still be the same format, it'll still be the same exam, just I think the way I'm going to do it is going to be different. I'll just make it available as a Word document to you, and then you'll submit an answer. Submit your answers in a Word document or a notepad or something like that. I was going to run it as a quiz, and then it automatically grades it. And then I'll release, on Wednesday, I'll release the answers so you can check, you'll know how you did before I even grade it. So, also, last thing I wanted to tell you is that make sure that you've turned in everything that you intend to turn in. The 4 module assignments by Monday. Obviously, I can't give you full credit if you didn't turn it in within a week of when it was due, or when I signed it. But if you want any credit for them, make sure you turn them in by Monday, because that's kind of the cutoff. Because, like I say, Wednesday is 4th of July, and then we'll move on to the second half of the material. And I think the second half of the material is actually more interesting than the first half of the material, but that's just my opinion. So after this module, you'll have, which is going to be on listening, you'll have all the information that you need for the exam. So you're all set. So that's that. So let's talk about listening. Now this is a chapter where I really wish that I could do this face to face. It's a lot easier. There's a lot of online videos that I do with it that are useful, but we'll do it online. So, and I'll tell you what kind of videos to go look for if you wish to simulate it. So, Mindful Listening, Chapter 6. Like I said, this chapter about listening. The first thing the PowerPoint has is a Chinese character that has the listening has all different parts of it. So it's got the heart, the eyes, and the ears. And so what that really means is whole listening is not just a part of, it's not just a biological function, it's an active thing that you do. And that's kind of the distinction between hearing and listening. Hearing is just kind of the act of, sound waves hitting your eardrums, that sort of thing. You can have background music that you're just hearing, but you're not really listening to it. Whereas listening is if you're actually watching a movie or something, or you could actually have a movie in the background. Some people have TVs on, and they're not really listening to it, they're just hearing it. So remember, the hearing is the biological function of your eardrum hearing, getting noises and processing it. Listening is attending to the messages. So just keep that in mind. We're talking about the listening, not necessarily the hearing. One of the things I do right here is one of the videos I show. There's a scene in White Men Can't Jump. It's a movie with Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes, and they're talking about whether they can listen or hear Jimi Hendrix. They're in the car. So if you have Netflix, I'm sure you can get the whole movie. I believe it's about halfway through, but it's also maybe you should watch it. But type in "White Men Can't Hear Jimi Hendrix" and you'll find the video that I'm referring to. I might put a link to it in the online part, in the non-classroom. But all right, so here's the listening process. First of all, it's an active thing. Physically receiving messages, that's the hearing part. And then selecting and organizing the information, so what's important, what's not. Because you get a lot of hearing, but you can't pay attention to everything. So, and then interpreting, and then there's responding, and then once you have listened to it, remembering what was said. There's some obstacles to mindful listening. So I do a selective listening activity here, which is where I talk about people you do listen to and those you don't, and times when maybe you should have listened to somebody and you didn't, and a time when you listen to somebody when you probably shouldn't have. So kind of a bad influence. It's kind of an interesting activity that I do, but I can't really do it in this context. But external obstacles, message overload, you get too much stuff going on, the message is too complex, or there could be noise. So this doesn't happen in the online classroom, but let's say you're at home and somebody's in the other room making a bunch of noise, a roommate or something. So that would be background noise. In the classroom, usually there's stuff going on in the hallway that sometimes affects your ability to listen. So that's what I talk about. So those are some obstacles. So internal obstacles, preoccupation, maybe you got in a fight or arguing with your boyfriend or girlfriend or your best friend or one of your friends, and that you're thinking about that, and so it's causing you trouble listening. Prejudgment, where you have a judgment about what you're hearing before you listen, what you're listening to before you even have it, before you listen to it. Emotionally loaded language, lack of effort, you could just not try to listen, and then failure to adapt to listening style. So you have to listen to different things in different ways, and if you don't do that, then you don't really listen. So the book talks about forms of non-listening, and I don't really have the time in this video to explain this. Actually, if you notice, last video it was actually lower quality because it was over 15 minutes, so I have to upload it a different way of YouTube. So I'm going to keep my videos under 15 minutes. But the book has wonderful descriptions of pseudo-listening, monopolizing, selective listening, defensive listening, ambushing, and literal listening. And so check out the book, and if you have questions, you can send them to me in email or put them on the online question. So, adapt listening communication goals. There's a number of different types of listening. There's listening for pleasure, there's listening to attend to the message, listening for the other person. So, like if somebody's upset because they're so they're having a life problem or they're broke up with their boyfriend or girlfriend, that's listening for them. You're not listening for yourself. Listening for pleasure would be listening to music, watching a movie, that type of thing. And then listening for information is when you're like what you're probably doing right now, which is where you're listening for information that I'm giving you. So you do different things for each. So when you're watching a movie, you're probably not hanging on every word, unless it's some movie that really when you went to watch the Avengers, you didn't hang on every word that was said. Not that you're hanging on every word that I'm saying, but maybe you were listening more intensely than you did for Avengers when you listen to Avengers. All right, adapt listening goals for communication. Okay, that's continued. And that's where it talks about listening so far there. So you're listening, so you're somebody is having a problem, you listen to that for them, not for yourself. And there's that's each one of those types of listening, you're listening for a different reason. So as always, the book gives you a pep talk on how to be more effective in listening. Be mindful and adapt listening appropriately. The main thing that the book talks about and things you should know for the exam is that you should adapt your listening to whatever's going on. So whatever's happening, whatever the environment is, whatever the purpose is, how much information you need to gather from what you're listening to, you should adapt your listening style to that. So you can't listen the same way no matter what's going on. So that's the guidelines for effective listening. Like I say, that's all I have. Remember, exam normal will open on Monday at 8 a.m. You don't have to do it until, you just have to do it by Tuesday at 11:59. And then we'll have take off for the holiday. We'll do Module 7 probably Friday, which you won't actually have to look at until the weekend, but I'll do it because actually the DHS is closed on Wednesday and I'm not working Thursday or Friday, so my 4th of July weekend begins on Tuesday, but I have lots of work to do other than that, so don't get too excited. So anyhow, exam number 1 begins Monday. So take a look at that. Make sure I covered everything I wanted to. Module 6. Okay, so I covered everything I wanted to. Otherwise, I won't talk to you. I'll probably make a little short video before the exam when I release it on Monday, but not a huge one. So have a good weekend and study for the exam and be ready for it on Monday. Have a good weekend.